Hi everybody, this is Ute Besenecker, Associate Professor of Lighting Design at KTH. With this contribution, we, the lighting design teachers and students at KTH, would like to illustrate some of our challenges and discoveries about lighting education, teaching and learning about light when working from home during the pandemic.
Hello lighting community, Rodrigo Muro here, Program Director of the Masters in Architectural Lighting Design at KTH. Being the responsible of the education is not only about observing and taking care of the content of the program, but as well of the students. So far, the regular education process of 2 generations has been affected, possibly getting into a third one. We have been through several stages since all this started, from limiting the amount of people in space and keeping distancing, going through a 50-50% of face-to-face and digital education, to a 100% of digital education currently. The first layer that is negatively affected is the personal one, the social aspect and the mental aspect, which we try to minimize by keeping digital contact on an almost daily basis and adapting educational activities to the digital and home environment. Even the experimental ones. As you know, light is to be experienced, so home kits have been procured so students can run light experiments at home.
Typically, during these dimmer days in Stockholm, we have a month-long visual perception lab for the students to observe light behavior and to explore visual perception. This year, this activity is being done at home, each student individually. This compilation contains spontaneous snapshots documenting current situations as well as contributions from some of the student projects that are in progress at the moment. These are not final project presentations. We hope that the material will inspire observations and discussions about lighting at home and in home offices. The original plan was that the students work on various case study sites, investigating and assessing lighting qualities in different spatial environments, working with the users of these spaces. This year, however, their case study site had to be their own home work environment.
The view in our current home learning environment is dominated by our luminance screens. We use them as a portal to interact and absorb information from people at distant locations. This increase in screen time takes a toll on our eyes, our concentration, and general fatigue. Even when focusing on our Zoom lectures, this is not the only visual information we process. Our peripheral vision constantly absorbs light from the surrounding environment. I'm currently investigating the relationship between changes in background luminance and our attention. We can use metrics to measure changes in luminance, but do these correlate with our perceived observations? I'll be recording moments that I observe a change in the light conditions in my study from home environment and analysing them to hopefully find a correlation. I'll be looking for changes in luminance contrast and the time intervals between these scenes.
The topic of interactions between daylight, electrical light, and luminous screen surfaces has become a prominent area of investigation and exploration, looking into topics such as brightness, glare, contrast, view, and changes in light over time.
Since I started working from home, I noticed two major problems. The first one is right behind me on the screen, and when I turn around you will even notice it better. My face is barely visible, and since I'm working with Zoom calls now most of the day, it's really important that the other participants can see my face correctly. And the second problem is on the wall behind it. Because the wall is quite dark, the contrast between the screen and the wall gets too big. So I noticed that after some hours of working, I got really tired. So these were the two problems that I thought of solving, and I wanted to do it with things I just could find at home. One of them was this light source behind me, and I just transformed it a little bit because normally it's shining downwards, but I turn it around so it's illuminating the ceiling and this wall. And when I turn it on, you will see it makes a huge difference. So now you can actually see my face, which is good for the other participants. And as you can see, the wall behind the screen, it's much brighter. So the contrast between the screen and the wall is more in balance. So with this easy solution, I made my workspace and my life much more comfortable.
Another topic area is how the dimness impacts different users in the home environment. While guidelines for office lighting are established, not much guidance is available to the person working or learning from home. And measuring light levels even near a window in Stockholm shows that during the late morning not much light is available without additional contribution from electrical light.
It is currently 4 p.m. and here in my apartment on the 10th floor of a building at KTH campus. The view is already all dark and the apartment looks pretty gloomy, apart from the fact that most of our light sources have already been turned on. And if I turn this main light source on, which is the one that lights up most of my work plane usually, you're gonna see that the impact is not that strong, especially as compared to that of the screen that is currently turned to the maximum level of brightness. And then I decided to consider how is this lighting scenario impacting my concentration levels on computer tasks, and how the usual settings that I would prefer are different or similar to those of the people that live in this apartment with me. And as you can see from these graphs, the data from the current lighting conditions are quite critical, especially the bottom line represents the SPD when all the lights are turned off, and the upper one represents the SPD when this main source is turned on, and then the other lights have been turned off, because that's what we mostly do. And if I was to show you how this SPD looks when sunlight is contributing to lighting up the apartment, you would actually see a line that goes a lot upper and reproduces the SPD of natural light. So it's quite different.
So we discovered new topics, or maybe better, we rediscovered existing topics. How does lighting impact our perception and well-being when we spend an extended amount of time in our homes? How can we rethink lighting in home office environments, and how can we teach and learn about lighting there? As my colleague Rodrigo Muro says,
So far, I think we have managed to deal with the situation, but sure hasn't been easy. The positive aspect is that we have broadened the inclusion of guest speakers even more internationally than we're used to, up to 3 continents, as the digital environment allows this. Something that for sure we will keep on doing, and we all at the Light and Design Laboratory are looking forward for brighter days.